What's up, everybody? Eric here with another EWE Reviews. Today we're doing a review for X-Men 97, Episode 5. Before we get into that, please like the video, subscribe to the channel, let me know what you want me to review next. Now this review is going to be a little bit different. This is a more impromptu review just because I watched the episode yesterday and I'm just like, I need to talk about it. So this review will be first part spoiler free, but then I'm going to go give my score, then we'll go into spoilers. Trust me guys, there's a lot to go with this episode, so I'm just going to jump into it. So the title of this episode is Remember It, and it has big meaning at the end of the episode. So let's actually talk about what the episode is. So to me, like what I thought about the episode. Now, to me, this is why I love animation. There's things you can do in animation that it wouldn't be easy to do in live action. And even here, it would be like a super big budget movie that maybe could do this. I can't see this ever happening on TV, what they did in this episode. And I loved all the emotion we got in this episode. A lot of it was like the aftermath of the Jean and Madeline situation from the end of episode 3 and how it was affecting a lot of the team. And I am a little bit confused on how episode episode 4, really, why wasn't it between episode 3 and 5, since those seem more connected. However, I do know that the end of the Storm part of episode 4, the life death, part 2, that's going to be in next week's episode. So I kind of want to see what they're going to do there. I'm excited to see what happens because this episode was just, wow, I can't believe what they did. This was just insane. The action in the last 8 minutes or 10 minutes of this episode are something that's just unbelievable, where I'm like, to me at least, this is the best thing Marvel has put on Disney Plus so far that isn't like a movie. Like, of all the TV shows and everything, this one hit the hardest, where I had moments where I was just like, I couldn't stop looking. I was just like, are they really going there? Like, what are they about to do? And even at the end, the closest thing I can say that Marvel's done in visual media that's like not comics, that's even close to this, is probably the end of Infinity War. That's probably the closest I can think of. So yeah, guys, I'm going to go into spoilers in a little bit, but first let me give you my score for this episode. I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. I thought this was a masterpiece. I was telling this to Francisco. This is the first thing in years, and I want to say since I was a little kid, where it's just like, I finished watching the episode, I'm like, holy crap, I have to wait a week to watch the next one. And I'm like, I don't even know what's going to happen. I don't know if it's going to be like the aftermath of what happened. This is insane. I can't believe what I just watched. I can't wait to see what they do next. So yeah, guys, I'm giving this a 10 out of 10. That's kind of the reason why I did this review. I'm not going to be doing this type of review for all the episodes. I'm probably going to do review at the end of the season like I usually do. Just at this time, it was like, this was a special case. When you see something special, it's like, that was special. All right. And I definitely recommend you go watch it. I'd say watch the show from the start. I don't think you need to have watched X-Men from the old days to really understand 97. They go pretty good into detail in explaining what's going on, where they are in their lives, and even stuff such as some relationships, they weren't even covered in the original show, so you don't have to really worry about it. All right, guys, so I'm going to give you a warning because I'm going to go into heavy spoilers right now. So if you don't want to join me for that, don't worry about it. You can come back to this later. But yeah, I'm going to go into there. Here's your warning. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, guys, now we're into the spoiler section of this episode, and holy crap. All right, so I'm going to go, I guess it's not going to be like actual order, but I'm going to go from like the beginning of the episode to like the end, and I'm just going to go on the main point. So there's big things happening in the mansion. There's a crew that's there to talk about to the X-Men about what things are going on. Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit end up going to the Genosha. We'll talk about them in a second. But let's talk about what happens in the mansion first. So we have this thing where Jean's kind of like losing it a little bit. Scott's also like out of it. After what happened with Madeline, like everyone's having weird things because Jean doesn't know, does Scott really love her? Does he love Madeline? What's going on there? And Jean, in her confusion, kisses Wolverine. And Wolverine being like, I think what I like about this show is that we're actually seeing that Wolverine's matured. He's not that same guy that we remember from the old cartoon of like, oh no, he's actually grown up a little bit. He knows like, hey, Jean, you're not in the right headspace. Let's pretend like this didn't happen. And I was just like, damn, the fact that Wolverine's like the mature guy in this whole thing, I'm like, I love it. But then we find out that when Jean's going into Scott's mind, that, and something happens between there, but I'll talk about it in a second, that Scott's still talking to Madeline like psychically, and that's the way that Jean and him used to talk, and she's kind of like, you're cheating on me. And it's just like, yeah, he kind of is, but at the same time the guy doesn't, like, he's so confused about everything that's going on. It's like, he was with Madeline clearly had the baby. That wasn't Jean that had the baby, so he has a kid with her, and he still going through the trauma of having to give up his son. Like, the guy is going through a lot, and don't get me wrong, so is Jean. It's just crazy seeing what they're going through, and I just loved it. It was just like, when Scott loses his shit on the reporter, I'm just like, holy crap, this is the Cyclops thing I've been waiting for. I'm like, this is where I'm like, where Mr. Sinister could later like get his hands on him, because we're seeing Scott finally, like, he's not being the Boy Scout. It's like, no, Scott's finally taking things really hard. And I was like, I love seeing that. I was like, we're getting some real emotion out of Scott. And yeah, I just loved it when he, like, all the things he says to the reporters, like, oh yeah, we're not normal and things like that. I was like, that was awesome. All right, so let's move on to the Genosha part for right now. We might bring back Scott and them in a little bit. However, now we go to Genosha, and like I said, it's Rogue, Magneto, and Gambit that are heading up there. Gambit and Rogue end up running, like, Nightcrawler shows up. He goes with them while Magneto goes to do some other stuff. Magneto, in the end, kind of gets offered the, like, to be president, or I think it's president, the ruler of Genosha, which Genosha, I'll admit, looked really cool. It's like, this isn't what we remember seeing in the old cartoon. Like, they've really stepped it up. It looks like a paradise for mutants. But even as when Gambit and them are looking, even Gambit said, well, like, paradise is pretty expensive, because it was like $10 for an apple. And it's just like, and Nightcrawler even says, like, well, you can't build everything overnight. And it's like, he's right, but it's like, even Gambit saying this isn't paradise, there's still problems here. Which I thought was really cool for them to actually, like, have that. Like, we're seeing, like, real things happen there. It's like, it's not just it's paradise. It's like, there's still problems, but I like that they're introducing stuff like that. But yeah, Genosha looked really cool. Magneto does agree that he be their ruler under one condition, and that's that Rogue be his queen, basically. And he tells her that, and you can tell she's not happy about it, but she's also like, this might be, like, something great she can do for mutant kind. So, like, she's having a hard time with it, and she eventually comes to Remy and tells him the truth that she used to be with Magneto before. Like, before she was with the X-Men before that, but Magneto, because he cared about her so much, because she could actually touch him because of his magnetized powers. There's, like, thing where she could actually touch someone, and it's like, she can't touch Remy. And it's like, it's hard for her because she loves him, but because of the abilities. Now, I will say one thing, and I'll talk about this where we're heading. Well, in the section later, I'm gonna do where we're heading. I do think something's gonna happen later on. But yeah, she ends up agreeing to Magneto's thing, and you can tell Remy's heartbroken. He's having a hard time with all of this. And we eventually get to, like, this party where, like, they're basically confirming, like, okay, these are things that are gonna happen, and you see all these powerful mutants from before that we've seen, and it's all cool. Remy's having a hard time. We see Madeline as well. Madeline she has this cool line earlier in the episode. She's like, well, they kind of wanted an X-Men to be, like, one of their liaisons, and since you guys kind of had a spare Jean, she went over there. So I thought it was funny. Now, this is where things are about. Like, we see Rogue and Magneto have this cool dance. They kiss, but she says something to Magneto. Like, she basically, like, she chooses Gambit. Like, she can't go with Magneto. She still loves Gambit. But then all hell breaks loose, and it starts with the craziest thing. You see Cable, and at this point, it should be very obvious that Nathan, the kid, Madeline's kid, is Cable. And I think this is probably something that's like a retcon, but it doesn't matter. It's fine. Because I don't think that was in the original cartoon. I know in the comics that's factual, but, like, I don't think that was in the original cartoon. So they kind of, like, retconned it in this, which is fine. Same thing happened with the Rogue and Magneto relationship. The show's been off the air for, like, close to 30 years. Like, they had to make changes. All right. So Cable shows up and he's giving them a warning, and he's just like, oh no, not again. Like, he's there, it seems like, to stop something, and he wasn't able to stop it. And then he does a time jump, and Madeline realizes that's her son, that's Nathan. And he even says, like, I'm sorry, Mom. And it's just like, what's about to happen? And then explosions start happening. And inside, like, where Rogue and Magneto are, like, a green blast just hits it. And a giant Sentinel Godzilla monster is now terrorizing Genosha, and it's just insane. It is killing everything that comes at it, and it's insane. There's some. We eventually do get the 3 X-Men back together, Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit, and they're just trying to figure out what to do. And I think it was the Morlocks that are trapped underneath the monster, and Magneto, Rogue, and Gambit are going to go try and save them. And this is just an action sequence that I can't give it any justice. You have to go watch this. It's insane. Where, like, you see, like, how powerful the X-Men really are. Because we haven't seen them do too much other than the first episode. So here's where we're getting to see them, like, in actual battle. And it was crazy to see them in battle. I love the chemistry that you see Rogue and Gambit have when they're trying to do their stuff. And Gambit just looks like a badass here. Same for Magneto. I mean, Magneto is, like, a very powerful mutant, but it was just cool to see him do his stuff. So let's just jump down to, like, Magneto. They finally get to the Morlocks, and they're trying to save them. But it's tough. Like, the monster's, like, right above them, and they're getting their asses handed to them. There's not really much they can do. There's not any offense that they can do at this point. Magneto's trying to, like, protect them. That thing is just attacking him because he's, like, an Omega level threat. So it's firing its huge blast at him. He's trying to shield the Morlocks in him, but he can't do much. Like, there's not anything he can do. And he even says to Leech, like, don't be afraid. But I'm pretty sure he says it in German. Could be wrong which language he said it in. And then Rogue just loses her shit and she wants to go fight this thing, but Gambit's like, no, I can't let you that happen to you. So he grabs a motorcycle. Oh, she's flying towards the thing. It's about to kill her. Fire at her. Gambit explodes the motorcycle he's in. She gets shot out of the way, thank God. And then Gambit just goes head first after this thing. And we're talking about, like, Gambit's just, like, going, like, at this point Magneto's maybe dead, we don't know. But we see Gambit just running towards it, and he's in the air. He's about to, like, try and attack it, and then it just takes, like, this wire thing and it just cuts into him. Like, it's just crazy. He's going and he's like, never bet against the odds or something like that. And then it hits him, and then it says, threat defeated or threat neutralized. And then Gambit, like, being Gambit, he's like, the name's Gambit. And right before, like, then he starts to glow with where it stabbed him. It's still in him, and he's able to now use that to, like, transfer his energy over to blow up this giant Godzilla-looking Sentinel. And right before he dies, he says, "Remember it." Oh, I was just like, damn, that's where they got the title from. It's like, this was an amazing episode. Like I said, 10 out of 10. That last sequence, I think, is one of the best things I've ever seen from Marvel, like, in animated form. In Disney Plus, I was just like, wow, that was insane. I felt so much emotion. I wanted to cry. I was just like, whoa, what's going on here? Now, I will say, well, let's talk about where I think this is heading. Because of Cable being shown, I do think this might get washed away at the end. And Cable's going to do something that's going to be able to fix everything. I do think that might happen just because I can't see them killing off Gambit. I'm pretty sure Magneto's still alive. I would be very surprised if Magneto's dead. But because they killed so many mutants in Genosha, I feel like this is something that they're going to try and, like, backtrack a little, which is another reason why I compared it to Infinity War. Infinity War, oh, we killed everyone, but then we brought them all back. So I was just like, that's kind of why I made that comparison. I'm pretty sure they're going to bring them all back, and I have no problem with that. But yeah, guys, sorry for this long video. This was, like I said, an impromptu video. But yeah, guys, what did you think of the episode? Please like and subscribe to the channel. Let me know what you thought. Do you think I'm going too high with 10 out of 10? Did you guys give it a little bit lower score? Let me know what you thought in the comments down below. All right, guys, talk to you later.